Okay, so now that you've gone through the PowerPoint, now what we're going to do is talk about what the assignment is. So the assignment is to actually write a 4-paragraph essay about the conflict that the Mormon pioneers had with the Native Americans and the U.S. Army or government. You can use the information from the PowerPoint. You can use the pages from the book. We'll attach those, pages 140 to 153. You can use the internet. So this time period from when the Mormons arrive in 1847 to the Utah War, which happens in 1857, is the first 10 years. And this is what we're talking about. The minimum for this essay is 4 paragraphs. In the introduction, I want 4 to 5 sentences. I want you to explain briefly why the pioneers end up coming to Utah. Why do they move from New York to Ohio to Missouri to Illinois? Obviously, because of persecution and all the different things that happened, the killing of Joseph Smith. They're looking for a place to be left alone. Okay, so that's what you need to explain in your introduction. It doesn't have to be very long, 4 to 5 sentences. In the first main body paragraph, which is going to be your actual second paragraph, you're going to talk about the conflict with the Native Americans. And this has to be 6 to 8 sentences. The Native Americans didn't understand the ways of the pioneers. They didn't understand this idea of why they want to farm. Because the pioneers are putting up fences, it's actually changing where the big animals go, and that's making the Native Americans hungry. They're hunter-gatherers. They go around after the big animals. And so with these fences and different things that the pioneers are doing, the Mormon pioneers are doing, that's really, really changing their food, and they're hungry. On top of that, these pioneers are bringing these new diseases that the Native Americans don't have immunities to. Typhoid, chickenpox, smallpox, scarlet fever, okay? So it kind of just boils over until the Native Americans just want the pioneers to leave. They want their land back. So they're going to go to war. That's what I want you to explain in the first body paragraph, which is the second actual paragraph. In the second main body paragraph, again, 6 to 8 sentences, this will be your third paragraph. We're going to talk about the Utah War, the conflict with the U.S. government. This all started with those unfavorable reports from Judge Drummond. He was not a good guy, and the Mormons did not respect him. Because of this, James Buchanan, the President of the United States, decides to send an army out to investigate. And if needs be, they would destroy the Mormons. Now, of course, Brigham Young says, if they want to come out here, we're not going to run away anymore. So there is some conflict, there is some bad things that happen, but nobody really gets killed. Colonel Thomas Kane, worried that innocent people might get injured, decides to step in and say, I'll mediate. I'll go in and talk to Brigham Young, see if they are really in rebellion. They're not in rebellion. So this army sets up Camp Floyd near Utah, and they stay here for 3 to 4 years. Now, those of you that paid attention, that last name, Thomas Kane, that should kind of sound familiar. Thomas Kane is where we get the name for Kane County, which is in southern Utah in the central part down at the bottom, if you remember from the county report. So in the conclusion, what I want you to do, again, doesn't have to be very long, 4 to 5 sentences, put it together. But I want you to explain, how does the conflict with these two groups get resolved? How does it get fixed? Well, here's how it gets fixed. With the Native Americans, the conflicts continue to grow and grow. There's going to be years of fighting between the Mormon pioneers and the Native Americans. In fact, we're going to get to the Black Hawk War, and this chapter talks about different wars. Finally, the Native Americans are going to surrender, and they're going to move to the reservation. Remember that word, reservation, the land reserved for the Native Americans. Now, the conflict with the Army resolves in 1860, about 3 years after they arrive. The Civil War begins, and President Abraham Lincoln calls all military to return to Washington, D.C. Now, if you don't know what the Civil War is, that's the fight between the South and the North about slavery. And it's a lot of soldiers that need to fight. So the idea is all the soldiers that are out here because of the Utah War need to return to Washington, D.C. The idea of isolation, this place that was just going to be for the Mormons, it is now over and complete. Again, if you have any questions about how to write this essay, you need to make sure and email or make sure you understand, okay? I'm going to give you most of the week to work on this. Some of you, you'll knock this out really easy. Some of you, you'll kind of work on it and stuff. You'll just have to type it up. Make sure you have a good draft, no spelling errors, okay? Make sure you do all that stuff. Get it in by the end of next week. Thanks.